just out of an article called Mashable. Out of Mashables, it goes on to say that Twitter suspends Proud Boys before white supremacist rally. And so this is out of the tech. And so there's been a lot of rallies, a lot of protests because of a lot of racial discord and a lot of anger and political anger that is tied around what laws and what rules and what kinds of issues that govern our US and what comes out of the White House. And so we've had a whole lot of little groups and subgroups and different extremist groups that have pretty much shown themselves to be very vocal in the recent events that have led up to some pretty serious issues. And so a lot of these companies are pulling away from these hate groups, such as Proud Boys, which is classified as a white supremacist group. And so it is titled here that Twitter suspends the Proud Boys before this rally kicks off. So, well, apparently Twitter does have a line when it comes to unhinged hate speech. So this is by Keith Wagstaff. Okay, so the company suspended accounts associated with the Proud Boys ahead of the white supremacist Unite the Right rally in Washington, D.C. this weekend. The move was originally reported by BuzzFeed News. So started by Vice co-founder Gavin McInnes, the Proud Boys are a very thinly veiled white nationalist group in Fred Perry's polo shirts. Former member Jason Kessler organized the first Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, at which counter-protesters Heather Heyer was murdered, and he was expelled from the group only after the ensuing controversy. The group's main account is on Twitter at Proud Boys USA, and McInnes' personal account were both suspended by Twitter for violating its policy prohibiting violent extremist groups. The company confirmed. BuzzFeed reports that the several regional accounts associated with the Proud Boys were also suspended. So Twitter has faced intense scrutiny over the decision not to ban Alex Jones, the shirtless, red face in InfoWars. The site pushed the theory that Sandy Hook shooting, in which 21st graders were murdered, was a hoax. And so watch, it says Big Tech takes a major stand against Alex Jones. So in the beginning of this, there's a commercial, so stand by.
Hey, what's up? My name is Pete Paschal, and this is Technically Speaking. First up, Big Tech took a major stand this week against the spread of misinformation and dangerous conspiracy theories. After Apple pulled the majority of InfoWars host Alex Jones' content from its podcast platform on Sunday for violating its speech guidelines, Facebook and YouTube followed suit on Monday, citing similar violations and deleting his official pages on both networks. This comes after Spotify and Stitcher had begun removing his podcasts last week. Jones, the controversial far-right commentator and conspiracy theorist, has become notorious for spreading conspiracies about topics like 9/11 and the Sandy Hook and Parkland school shootings. With massive public pressure mounted against big digital media companies in recent months, for their handling of inflammatory content, some see this as a promising first step taken against fake news. Others, however, worry about what it means to have so much power over content distribution in the hands of just a few tech companies. Next up, Android Pie is here and everyone wants a slice. On Monday, Google released the name of a new version.
Okay, so that's basically on Alex Jones. And so they've been really cracking down now lately on these hate groups and these different groups who spread a lot of conspiracies. And, I will add this in here. I recall going on YouTube and I used to see these, I didn't actually, a couple of them I clicked on, but it was really confusing. And now that I think back to it, I believe that's where most of it came from. I would see like real live incidences that were happening, and then someone would have a video saying it was a hoax. And I say, wait a minute, people died in this event. How can that be a hoax? And they would say that they were crisis actors, or they were just actors and actresses. And there were a lot of things, like real live incidences that happen where the whole world basically can see that this incident took place. And then they would come up with some wild, you know, conclusion that it wasn't real, that it was a hoax. And I would see these videos that would have the word in red hoax printed across it. And I was like, wait a minute, how can that shooting be a hoax? People actually died in that. And so I would always question those videos when I would see them because I knew something wasn't right about it. But, now I'm understanding where all of those came from. So, anyway, this is pretty much the article, the duration of this video. And what do you think about this? Because I don't really believe, even with these tech companies getting on board to silence these people, I don't believe that that's going to silence people, because people have really creative ways for getting their messages out there, whether they have to use social media or some other forms of media, they will do it. And, it's not like they can't pay money and put newspaper ads out, and they can still have rallies, they can still have protests, they can still have demonstrations, they can still hand out leaflets and pamphlets, and they can still, put their message out any way that they need to, they feel necessary, and they can still distribute information out there. It's not going to really silence people. Um, but it is a step in the right direction if you want to combat it from certain, you know, um, media content. But, what other things are they going to target? Are they going to also target just general free speech when people speak out on issues that are valid and legitimate? And so these are the questions that are being raised. Yeah, we know that they're trying to target people who are pretty much divisive in their efforts of trying to ignite conflicts. But what about people who uncover true issues? What about people who uncover conspiracies such as this, and then a whole host of other issues that are out there that would concern the public that maybe media won't share? And so those are issues that are being raised in this. People can make sound decisions whether they want to um, participate in certain content or just ignore it or write it off as, oh, these are just white nationalists or white supremacists. And we know what their plight is, or what their whole scheme of things, their agenda is, rather. Um, And so you can have counter protesters and people who are talking about social issues or who are raising issues of things that might be of nature, a good nature to people in general. And so these are the questions that are being posed. But what do you think about this new development? Do you think it'll silence speech? It could in some forms of media, but not entirely. So is this another form of policing? Policing these people would also police those who, where you need to see more people who are voiceless speak out. Thought, feedback, comments. Thanks for listening.